Wagner knows why. I love. Sometimes it's funny to see the lengths of black content creators, what they will do in order to like be relevant. It's so gold. It's so golden. What were we talking about last stream about thumbnails? Notice how anytime you talk about anything, he uses Jordan. That's her name, by the way. The character, not the actress. And the thumbnails. Worst era in gaming. This hasn't even come out yet. Next game to hate is Dawn Walker's the next Crimson Desert. No. 007 Light 007 Force Light exposes modern gaming's war on male characters. It's so like he did an AI version of himself. That's lazy. They don't need gamers. The gaming industry doesn't need gamers anymore. The Australian experiment. And that is an AI version of Bella Ramsey on the ex-Voto character. That is, once again, Jordan Gabriel. That's again Jordan, played by Tati Gabriel, as Michael Jackson. What does that have to do with anything? You don't know this guy? Oh, we'll do the Saros one.
Criminal, gay, Indian.
Because this is a man whose entire output is, please, white supremacy, notice me. Notice me, white supremacy senpai. Please, please, please. I will keep tap dancing as loud as I can. You can call me Maxwell. Please, please, please notice me. That is his output. That's his content. That's his content.
Criminal, gay, Indian, cuck. That's an amalgamation of words that come together to describe this game that I would have never seen as one of the worst properties to be released this year. Of course, I'm talking about Saros, a game from the developer of Returnal called Housemarque. They've created something so obscene, so absurd in the gaming industry that people are just shocked about hearing the story and the overall experience of what Saros is meant to be for the gamer. And it includes all the words I mentioned before, which kind of sounds crazy to the gamer, but that's the world we're living in right now.
I like how he says crazy to the gamer, like this is some sort of nature documentary. And it's like, this sounds insane to the gamer. To the gamer, this kind of word is shocking and terrifying. For the epic gamer, this is quite the conundrum indeed.
Now, as gamers, where the absurd has become normal, and seeing terrible games that have no understanding of what the gamer player wants and needs are is commonplace nowadays. And I think Saros comes together and becomes the quintessential game that represents the modern age of gaming.
Now, here's the thing. I can promise you he has not played Saros. I can almost guarantee that, because he said he never heard of this game earlier on, right?
They've created something so obscene, so absurd in the gaming industry that people are just shocked. The words that come together to describe this game that I would have never seen as one of the worst properties to be released this year. We're come up with this story.
One of the worst properties to be released this year, in the same year that Code fucking Violet came out. Do you see where we're starting with this?
The gamers would actually love to play this game. If you don't know what I'm talking about Saros. It's a game that recently was released by Housemarque, the developer of Returnal. It's a game that's kind of focused in the same concepts of a looping time frame where you're trying to discover some hidden secrets in the world. You have to accomplish a task, and you have a highly action-packed gameplay style that a lot of gamers did enjoy in the original Returnal game. Me, I didn't really like it too much. Returnal, I'm not a big fan of that game. I didn't care for the characters themselves, and I think this is the problem I have with this.
The characters. There is one person in Returnal. There's one person in Returnal
game as well, along with the color palette of Saros, where I still don't like orange color palettes. It's not my thing, but I thought this game,
okay, I'm sorry. Sure, you can have a particular, I guess, visual style you like. There's no fucking way. There is no fucking way he's gonna be like, I don't like this game because of its the orange color palette. And what the fuck are you talking about? You can't even critique this game because you haven't played it. I didn't like it because it has an orange color palette. as what?
It looks like it's action-packed. I perceived that a lot of gamers would enjoy this, but I thought that for only a minute until I heard the story of this game. Once you hear the story of this game, you're kind of scratching your head and thinking, who is developing games nowadays? Because this story is something so absurd, so out of left field, it makes you think, okay, the developers of this game probably have an absolute disdain for the gamers.
Here we go. It's always like disdain for. Okay, I'm gonna tell you guys something. This is a spoiler for the story of Saros. So basically, it's a guy who was not a good husband, and his wife like went missing. So he came to his planet to find her. That's the main thrust of the story. And the spoiler here is his wife was a lesbian, according to the fake spoiler I talked about in my last video. That's what he's talking about. But now that you know what he's talking about, look how they talk about it. It's insane. They don't understand gamers. They're targeting gamers. How dare they put out a story that has to do with the man looking for his missing wife and realize that it's too late because he was a shitty husband. Gamers can't handle that.
Or have a message that they want to implant to the actual audience that they're trying to get to purchase their game, because that's what you see with Saros and the controversy of the gamers talking about this, where they're saying, who would play a game like this where you play the most profane, absurd, and the most dislikable character possible in a character named
the most profane, the most absurd, the most dislikable character? Like, he's so bad at this. I forgot why I promised I wouldn't cover him anymore. He's so unbelievably bad at this. Like he's reading off of a list of shit to say, because like he's vamping. Just keep account how many times he says like absurd, for example.
Arjun. If you don't know the story about Saros, let me give you the details before I go over the controversial parts. Saros is a game focused on a corporation called Soltari Corporation. It discovers a unique mineral on a planet, and you're sent there to discover it and build manufacturing processes to mine the colony. You're Arjun. You wake up with no memory of what happened during a mishap that happened at the mining factory, and you're trying to search the details of what happened, what sabotaged their ship, what's destroying their only path out of this planet. And that's where Arjun comes into play. You play as this character trying to understand what's happening with the crew.
Like, he's just repeating himself. Oh my god. He's like, God, I thought I was bad at like describing shit in videos. He's just repeating himself over and over. We're gonna skip this part. He's just
to fight
repeating
your
himself.
way out. You have to fight an evil species of something, and you do the basic combat stuff you have with these sort of action sci-fi games. But
the sort of combat you have with these sort of action sci-fi games. This is like the only game that does this besides Returnal. Be specific, bro.
A lot of gamers expected that experience with this game, but when you play the game, it has all the typical things you see in the modern day focus of what narration has to be about. It has to be about the modern tropes that you see in society.
What is the modern trope?
DEI. We see that in the character portrayals. We see this in the choice of the cast, the looks of the cast. We have old aunties everywhere. We have a diverse cast of characters.
Old aunties everywhere. One old person. Oh my god, you have a diverse cast of characters. Oh my god. Arjun has his memory, doesn't he? Not according to our smart boy Wagner here.
We have every palette in the rainbow, which is no problem with that. Okay, that's fine to do that, but even the story elements reflect that, as well as you look into what's the deep recesses of the narration here, where it becomes more about misogyny and LGBTQ elements.
First off, that's not narration. It's narrative, you fucking moron. I'm not gonna be nice to him. Wagner No Wise is a goddamn coon. Yeah, I said it. It can't even articulate. It's not narration. It's narrative. You're talking about the narrative.
Rather than the space sci-fi horror that we were looking forward to. And I think that's the thing gamers are complaining about when they...
Gamers aren't complaining about that. People weren't looking for sci-fi horror in Returnal or Saros because they know Housemarque doesn't do that. It's not about cosmic horror. Like, what are you talking about? Not a single person was going to, I can't wait to play this cosmic horror game. It's Housemarque.
Once they finally do complete this game, they end up with something that is completely absurd and outrageous to even think about. as a storyline for a sci-fi drama. And I think that's the thing people are coming to conclusions with if you actually pay attention to the end game story.
Oh my god, dude. Okay, so this is what he does. He drags out a 4-5 minute point to 10 minutes because I think he's still operating on old school YouTube terms where 10 minutes was the minimum you had to have in order to like get a monetization for it. Because this could have been from the jump. This is fake. We know this. We know this is fake. This is not real. So I'm gonna just this is not real.
Story. Sony's new exclusive comes down to this. When it comes to the game, the end game story is just ridiculous. The main concept of the story, why you wake up with no memory, is because basically you're
okay, that's a fucking spoiler. That's no spoiler warning for that. Whatever. I'm gonna just go here. Sorry, didn't know that.
Exclusive, and it's coming down to what gamers are getting tired of with Sony, where Sony keeps making the same game over and over and over again. And I think that's what we see with Saros, where it hits all the marks, where we have the
yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't know he was gonna fucking just spoil the game like that.
Angry, misogynistic, douchebag, loser male who's weak and annoying. We have all these old auntie characteristics, of course.
Old auntie characteristics. Jesus Christ,
we have
man.
The DEI palette of colors, and then we
DEI palette. You notice how he's repeating everything he's already said.
have the main character's wife ending up with a black lesbian. It's like, what do we have to do to avoid this kind of monotonous concept that seems to be unable?
I'm gonna move from this part because, like, Wagner, dog, you are black. I know you wish you weren't. You are black. You are advocating for people who look like you to be seen less in games. Dog, what are you doing? What are you doing? The spoiler's not true. Good. But I don't want to risk it. But what are you doing? What are you fucking doing, man? Like, what are you doing? Did I miss something when I boot up Saros and play the beginning? I don't remember Arjun's character being memory wiped. He didn't play the fucking game. He doesn't play any of the games he talks about.
Has to end up with a black lesbian somewhere. I think that's the thing gamers are just kind of scoffing at.
And I'm sorry, let's say it was true. For the sake of argument, let's say the very not true spoiler going around, which I talked about in my last video, is not true. Why does that matter? Like, they make it seem like this is the outcome for so many games. How many games have you guys played where a character gets mind wiped because they were cheating on their spouse and their friend found out and they killed him? Again, this is not what happened, but they killed him. And then your wife ends up leaving you for a black lesbian. How many games end this way? How many games have you played where you can be like, this keeps happening? Oh, it's the same Sony formula of what? Of what? This hasn't happened. In fact, in most recent Sony first-party games, I can only really think of one game that starred a canonical lesbian, and that was The Last of Us 2. There was an option in the DLC for Horizon Zero Dawn that you could potentially make out with a woman if you chose to do so. You know, if you make that choice. But I cannot for the life of me think of a game in which you are looking for your spouse and they left you for a woman. Oh, and they're black and lesbian. I can't think of that.
Where it's just, this is just boring now. You don't know how to do anything else. And I think that's the thing that we're seeing with this game. It's getting boring for the gamers to see this continuously happening over and over again. I think when I saw
let's see where his sources are.
Concept, I'm like, no, Sony couldn't do this. Sony can't do this again. They just did it 3 times already. We already saw this type of ending with multiple stories that they actually produced just this past year. We saw
Which story? Because this was the jump. I used this same picture in my last video. I knew it was too predictable. So let's go through this. Lesbians and samurais, they're not lesbians. They're not lesbians. They are lesbians. This is an optional DLC that you can also not engage in. This is canonical. You have no choice. This never happened. Abby's not a lesbian. They don't know the sexual orientation for this character. This is fucking Mary Jane, who's clearly with Spider-Man, and this is again Atsu.
Most of your day. We saw with The Last of Us way beyond that. We kind of saw it with Uncharted. We see this.
We kind of saw it with Uncharted. Chloe Fraser is a lesbian? I'm sorry. Was I playing a different Uncharted game when she wasn't into Nathan Drake? Did I get a different copy? Did I get the unwoke copy of the Uncharted collection when I bought it for my PS4? Damn, I gotta call Naughty Dog. I gotta call Naughty Dog and let them know I need a refund. I didn't get the woke version of Uncharted. I got the dumb unwoke version with Chloe Fraser is into Nathan Drake. Damn. The only game, again, which has canonical lesbians is The Last of Us 2. And if you want to boil it down to, oh my God, there's so many lesbians in all these games, you are fighting ghosts that you have created, man.
Incessantly with PlayStation, it seems like they don't know how to make anything else nowadays. This is the only narrative architecture that Sony has. It only knows how to make games like this. I think gamers are kind of getting tired of it. We are
He's
tired
just repeating
of it.
himself.
I think that's what we expect to see with the
Sony Woke Station. Oh, Sony Woke Station. You have, this is supposed to be Jean Grey from the Wolverine game. This is Freya from God of War. This game, again, hasn't come out yet. Like, you're so pussy, bro. You're so pussy. These people are such bitch. They're so bitch made that they can't handle a game. They cannot handle a game that has a woman in it. They just can't. They are just physically incapable of handling games that have women in it. We're not going to finish this video because to highlight this point, look at his other video. Women ruined gaming. The worst era in gaming. They don't need gamers. No twerking for gamers? What the fuck are you talking about? Sony sold out the gamers for Sweet Baby Inc. activism according to PlayStation. Like, this is such a dog shit channel. That's why it's, you know, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. You guys can make your own assessments. But we're in gaming. Like, he keeps focusing on just women. Ubisoft's woke trap, Black Flag recent concerns, recent flops in Assassin's Creed. Women ruin gaming. Let's look at his genius take.
Women have.
I'm sure he won't just be looping a trailer while he has himself on the corner. I'm sure he won't be doing that. I'm sure he's going to put more time.
James Bond. I know it sounds absurd since we're talking about the quintessential ladies, man.
Okay, he keeps using quintessential. Maybe he did just learn that word, man.
But that's what we're seeing with this new 007 game coming from IO Interactive. It's looking like James Bond and the 10
He's using AI.
Boss ladies. That's what gamers are saying is happening with this new 007 First Light game, because it's that time of the year in the gaming industry where we have a new game and a new list of articles overpraising that game as the biggest game of the year. And that's what we're seeing happening now with 007 First Light, which just had its first line of articles previewing this title, saying, hey, this is the next big upcoming game that you need to be excited for. And I have no problem with that. Articles hyping out a game that is up and coming. They don't have the full review.
Here, his fucking first topics are always so boring. Like, he breaks these up into like segments, but they're the same shit. Watch.
Yeah,
just watch.
But I have my questions about this game, because this game, 007 First Light, is following a long line and list of titles that are all doing the same thing with strong, traditionally male characters that we see in the entertainment space, where we have this 007 James Bond, a strong male character historically.
Has he heard of marketing? No.
Is now going to be put in the position where he's going to be in the modern day age of entertainment, where you can't be that particular strong, suave character anymore. And I know people
says who
say, hey, in this preview, it looks like he is that character. He looks like he's talking his way through things. He's beating up people. And yeah, that is the case for the most part from what we see from the preview, but we see this with almost every entertainment property that has come out these past few years, like Marvel, like Daredevil, like Star Trek.
Like Daredevil? Daredevil, who violently beats ass in almost every episode he's in? He's not their definition of masculine anymore. So what is it? What is their version of masculinity now?
Trek, like all these other properties that have showcased these strong male characters in the past, but there's always a catch with it. And I think this is the thing we're going to see with 007 First Light, where, yeah, James Bond looks like a strong character, but he's probably going to be bossed around by 10 boss lady characters.
See, this is the shit I hate, bro. And don't worry, we're not watching this whole video like to analysis. We know that he sucks. Wagner is bad at this. He's terrible. What these losers, and Wagner, I hope you see this because you are in fact a loser I'm talking about. Also, fired your barber. But these losers, what they don't understand is when they hear strong character, they think this. They think character capable of beating someone else. That is not a strong character. That is a physical character. That could be a violent character. And yes, I was going to say, James Bond has historically had women telling him what to do. His boss was Jane Judi Dench. Okay? Moneypenny's his assistant. There's Bond girls. There's Bond femme fatales. There've always been a lot of women in the Bond series. That's always how it works. They tell him to do something and he goes, of course. And then he's James Bond and he fucks it up. But it's cool because he's James Bond and they will always give him infinite rope because he's James Bond. That's the whole thing. That's always been what Bond does. But these people, they have such a juvenile understanding of a strong character. If we go back, he says, yeah, he beats people up. He's this and this and that. That's what he thinks a strong character is.
His way through things, he's beating up people. And yeah, that is the case for the most.
He's beating up people. These people can only recognize strength if it's physical. That's it. When we talk about a strong character, we're talking about a character that's memorable, a character that can hold their own against other personalities. We're talking about them from a personality standpoint, right? Because there are weak characters. There are characters who are weak because they're one note. All they do is punch things. That's it. That's a weak character. But to these guys, because you have big muscles, oh, you're a strong character. Because yes, you're able to commit violence. You're an awesome character. You can beat people up. Beating someone up is not a sign of strength, especially that's your first resort. That is a sign of weakness. If your first response to something is immediate violent, then your favorite character is going to be some unga bunga caveman. That's it. They don't want any character depth or nuance or growth. This is clearly a game about James Bond getting his feet wet, right? Becoming a 007, which means he might make mistakes. And they're going to be like, see, you can't have a strong, powerful white male character anymore. They have to emasculate him. And then the best part is he makes assumptions. He goes, he's probably going to have 10 girl bosses. What does girl boss mean in this context, Wagner? What does that mean? Is it because you can have 10 women who might have strong personalities, who might stand out, who might challenge him? Is that wrong?
Most part from what we see, he's like a strong character, but he's probably going to be bossed around by 10 boss lady characters that know better than him, that are equally or smarter than him, that diminish his own position and power position as a male.
God forbid a woman might be smarter than a man. Oh my God, my male ego can't handle it, but I'm strong. I can bench press 350. I'm strong. But if a woman tells me she can do something,
strong character that you see in any entertainment property. And I think this is what we've been seeing all across entertainment, Hollywood, and books, TV, movies. This has been the strategy of dealing with these particular strong male characters that we see in entertainment, where yes, we're going to make this character still strong, but he's going to be a secondary character even in his own story and decision-making process. And I think this is what we see.
What the fuck does that mean? He's going to be a secondary character in their own decision-making process? By the way, you know what series did this very well that he's trying to shit on? Mad Max Fury Road is one of the best films, and the focal of the character isn't Mad Max. It is Furiosa, because Furiosa is the character. Max is simply the vehicle in which we experience her. And Max, being secure in his masculinity, doesn't get mad when she shows that she's a better shot than him. He actually is like, good, I'll focus on driving. I will use my shoulder for you to stabilize so you can shoot. Because you know what's important? Us surviving. You know what makes James Bond a very strong character is the fact that he's not threatened by women who can challenge him. Hell, he loves it. That's someone who's secure about themselves. But if you're insecure, then you act like Wagner, where the very notion of the potential of a woman being smarter than you is enough to make your brain break.
A lot of properties that have been coming out these past few years, and I think 007 First Light is going to be another long line of examples of that happening.
Already said that, dude.
We even play as James Bond 100% through this. We're definitely going to play as some female character that's smarter and more intelligent than him. We already saw previews of different characters that are in this game, but I think this...
First off, who is she? She is gorgeous. Secondly, do you people not understand like game design, like breaking up a rhythm of a game? Like, is it so beyond them? Like, first off, I don't know why you would be playing as someone else, because this is ostensibly James Bond, his first time. But let's say you are. Let's say you get a mission like how Spider-Man, where they had the missions with Mary Jane and Miles in the first game, right? That is to break up the pacing. And that does two things. It gives you a different look at the same environment from someone else's perspective, and it gives you access to a different kit. Do I love Spider-Man? Yes. He's my favorite fucking character, okay? I love that I can fucking swing around and climb up walls and punch things. But you know what's also good for a frame of reference? To see how this same world that you're swinging through, not giving a care in the world, being able to stop anything, to see how that looks from the eyes of a normal person. Because then it gives a better sense of perspective when you go back to Spider-Man, right? When you can't just zip to the wall and whip these guys up, where you have to be stealthy. And I'm not a fan of forced stealth sections, don't get me wrong, but it's to break up the gameplay. It's no different than when they add fishing as a side quest. Would you be mad if they're like, I just want to punch people and beat them up? Why are they making me fish? Like they're breaking up the gameplay, so it just become monotonous. That's how they do that. And again, if you can't handle playing as a woman, stop playing video games. I'm being so serious right now. This is how you can tell I'm being serious, okay? If you can only play video games when you're playing as a male character, you need to stop playing video games, big dog. Video games are not for you. If you can only play a digital avatar that is male, you should not play video games. That is not the medium for you. Okay? Go watch UFC. Just watch UFC. Men's only UFC. Just do that. Don't watch WNBA. Watch NBA only. Watch NFL. Do all that stuff. I'm watching NBA basketball. Lakers play tomorrow. Depending on when I release this. You can't handle video games. They're not for you. I'm sorry. Why is that the case? White male defaultism? Because it's generic. It is. A white male is inoffensive. It's nothing. I'm not trying to be mean, but it's nothing. It doesn't get in the way, right? It doesn't get in the way. You don't get to. No one's distracted by James Bond being a white guy here, or her being a white woman. But if he was black, they'd be like, wait a minute. If he was Asian, wait a minute. That's why. That's why default characters are usually just white dudes with plain features. They're John Does because they don't get in the way.
This is the thing. Gamers are hesitant with any new property coming out in the entertainment industry, particular gaming, where, yes, this looks like an act.
Gamers are more hesitant to engage in entertainment property like movies, especially gaming. What?
Action-packed game that I would love to play. And I think that's what a lot of people are feeling about the 007 franchise whenever we hear about it, especially when it's coming from the IO Interactive development staff that made Hitman. So I was
Hitman. You mean the series where your boss is a woman who tells you what to do? That series? Too many people think video games escapism from reality, but it isn't. I have said that so many times. Your escapism is not universal. If you have to escape to play video games where only men exist and women are subservient, you're a punk bitch who can't handle anything. If your escapism is why are there minorities in my video games and my fantasies, because in your fantasy is like a white ethno state, you're a racist punk bitch. You can't handle queer people in the fantasy games, then don't play that game.
excited when I first heard about this game, but of course I have to realize I'm in the modern day era of gaming where no game is what it seems. Every game has an ulterior motive. Every game is trying to be subversive
An ulterior
to the gamer
motive.
and audience, and I think that's what people are suspecting.
How do you live like this? How do you go through your life like this, where every piece of media is a constant attack on your worldview, where every piece of media is trying to indoctrinate you to the woke left? Like, legitimately, how do you live like this? How do you live like this?
This version of 007, we're expecting subversion. I think that's the thing people are realizing with a lot of the properties that are coming out right now. If you don't know about this game in particular, 007 First Light is the origin story. It has Patrick Gibson portraying the character, playing young James Bond, fresh off a heroic act, joining MI6's double old.
It's so obvious he's just reading off the ad copy, and he tries to make it seem like, let me just give you a quick synopsis. And then he's just going to the Steam page and like
program. It's not adapting a specific Fleming novel or movie. It's original, set early in his career before he becomes the legend. From trailers and cast reveals, Bond is resourceful, female-oriented. And I think this is what we see with a lot. And he gets it. And a lot of the guidance is going to be female-oriented. And I think this is what we see with a lot of the properties.
Why does that matter?
In the gaming industry today, where that's the overall premise of a lot of games nowadays. A lot of entertainment properties where you have these strong male characters where they're still allowed to exist. They need to take orders from at least 10 boss ladies that are more smarter and intellectual than them.
Again, you've defeated your own purpose. You're saying these guys are still allowed to exist, but they take orders from women. Who are you playing as? Does it really affect your gameplay that in their ear, the person who goes like, "Careful, M, there's enemies here," is a woman's voice? Like, that's what you're talking about. You're talking about you don't like the fact that James Bond's going to have a woman telling him what to do, but you're playing the game. This is to me just as insane if someone was like, oh my God, the person in your ear is a black person. I can't play this game because it's a black person telling me that you need to be careful for enemies. Oh my God, why are they forcing DEI everywhere? Like, these are such non-complaints.
I think people are going to say, hey, we see this in the old James Bond movies. We see M, we see all these characters that were still in particular female.
And he's going to say, so he's bad. He's so bad at this because what he's trying to do is trying to steel man the position, right? The opposition's idea by saying, and of course, you guys are going to tell me that historically James Bond's always been surrounded by women like Moneypenny and M and etc. and the Bond girls, and his butt is going to be like, but the modern audience, they're going to find a way to make him look weak or some shit.
Characters, but they did allow James Bond to be James Bond. But I think we're in a different era where that is not allowable, where James Bond shouldn't be allowed to be James Bond. I think we're done with seeing James Bond sleep with multiple women. We're done with that era of James Bond. He's always going to be in love with some random woman that he sees as the ultimate goal. We saw this with the previous James Bond franchise. We see this probably continuing with every single game where they're going to change this James Bond character. He's not allowed to be the same person anymore. He's allowed to beat up people. He's allowed to do this, but it has to be at the directive of some multicultural modern day Britain staff.
It's not fun being right about these people. And I let it go for a bit. A, to bask in my correctness, but B, Because if you paid attention, he completely contradicts himself no less than 4 times. He says, okay, let's just go back. Let's run it back from here.
And we see all these characters that were still in particular female characters, but they did allow James Bond to be James Bond. But I think we're in a different era where that is not allowable, where James Bond shouldn't be allowed to be.
So he goes from saying, well, they do allow him to do that, but now I don't think they will. And then from that point, he says he shouldn't be allowed. And from that point, he says,
Bond. I think we're done with seeing James Bond sleep with multiple women. We're done with that era of James Bond. He's always going to be in love with some random woman.
Complete fiction, right? Complete fiction. Where's the evidence of any of this? In any of this shit, where is that evidence? He just went from talking about things that are based in historical realities, right? To I don't think, to they won't, and to now I'm mad that they're not going to do that.
That he sees as the ultimate goal. We saw this with the previous James Bond franchise. We see this probably continuing with every single game.
We see this probably continuing. That's not how that works, right? It's either it's going to continue or it might. You can't say we see this probably continuing.
Where they're going to change this James Bond character. He's not allowed to be the same person anymore.
And now he's not allowed to be the same person anymore, but he's allowed to beat people up. But the staff is multicultural, and the staff being multicultural somehow changes James Bond. Having, by the way, this is modern day Britain. Yeah, dude. There's Indians in Britain. There's black people in Britain. I don't know. I don't know what else to tell you. But yes. Because of this, now he can't be James Bond. He can only be James Bond as everyone's white.
Allowed to beat up people. He's allowed to do this, but it has to be at the directive of some multicultural modern day Britain staff that has ideological superiority and no.
Whoa. Where did the ideological superiority come into play? Where are you getting this from?
At all than James Bond. And I think that's the thing that gamers are just not really interested in. And I think this is what we see with a lot of properties that came out in the past. And I think that's what people see when they hear about First Light. When they look at this picture, I'm like, this is in the same trend that I've been seeing these past few years.
This is the fucking Bond thing. A female M. In fact, the recent change they made is they killed James Judi Dench, and then you had Ralph Fiennes take over. But that's not been the norm. His Moneypenny being a woman is not something different. And then here's like the bad guy. What the cool bad guy with the weird prosthetic. This is quintessential. See, I did. But this is the quintessential James Bond. Like, what are you talking about?
That's what I see when I watch Daredevil. Daredevil is supposed to be about Daredevil, but Daredevil is usually just walking behind a strong female character half the time. Same thing with Kingpin.
Okay, so he doesn't watch Daredevil. And I can tell because this is neurotic right here. He doesn't watch any of the shit that he talks about. He's walking behind her. This is just a shot. This is just a simple frame. This is not indicative of their, like, what the fuck is wrong with him? Like, if these media illiterate morons had their way, you know how the games would go? You know how all TV shows would go? Daredevil would have no supporting cast. It would just be Daredevil punching Wilson Fisk, and Wilson Fisk would not have Vanessa. They would just be these two cardboard cutouts. And they want you to play that for 40 hours. They want you to watch that shit for 8 hours of 8 to 10 hours of content. They want you to play games with James Bond where it's just James Bond, and that's it. MI6 is empty. There are no women. He just has guns all the time, and you just go through levels, blow people away. That's it. They want nothing. They want no character at all. Just a digital avatar.
Even Kingpin is not allowed to be the bad guy. He has to walk behind 3 strong women around him. I think
Kingpin's not allowed to be the bad guy. Hey, real quick, who's the current mayor of New York in the MCU? Oh, Wilson Fisk. Interesting. Who is the running all the crime in oh, Wilson Fisk, who's the kingpin, who's always been the kingpin. Vanessa did manage things that he was away, but he came back and assumed power behind 3 women. What 3? Name them. Daredevil, name them. I'll give you one. Vanessa Fisk. Well, technically it's not Fisk, but tell me the 2 women. Tell me the other 2 women who Kingpin's up walking behind now.
Is the thing we keep seeing in entertainment. We see this in the old James Bond movie where he has to be surrounded by strong women that know everything above him, where he can't be an independent person that does things on his own.
Because he's part of a fucking spy group, dude. What are you talking about? He's never done shit on his own. He's had a Q all the time. He's had a money penny. He's never been by himself. That's what, again, this just betrays your lack of knowledge, dude. Like you do not know the media that you are trying to analyze, and it's so painfully obvious.
Yes, to have the boss lady character surrounding him. I think this started probably around the Black Panther series when that movie came out, where literally Black Panther was surrounded by 10 strong women and there was nothing else, no other male characters besides him. And I think that's the thing.
No other male characters in the Black Panther movie. I hallucinated M'Baku, who had a central pivotal role in the movie of saving his fucking life. I imagined Everett Ross. I imagined the goddamn villains in this movie. I imagined Claw. I imagined Killmonger. All fictional beings I just created in my head. M'Baku. Just not there. Didn't exist. His people didn't rescue him from the river when he got stabbed by, Killmonger, because Killmonger also didn't exist. And it was just him.
See now with the kind of the strategy of trying to get these subversive ideas and images into the audience's mind, because no matter what, the audience still wants to see a strong male figure, and that is something that cannot be denied. And it seems like a lot of the people that are
how long is this video? There's 6 more minutes. There's no way there's 6 more minutes of this. There's no way there's 6 more minutes of this. Miss M, not good at 7, time of the month. Make me a soy latte, gay, not shaken. This is, I'm sorry, I have to comment. You gotta fucking joking, man. This is dog shit analysis. You literally don't even know what you're talking about. Your Black Panther example is asinine because literally M'Baku is a pivotal character in both films to the point where he literally saves T'Challa's life. And wasn't he also responsible for saving the heart-shaped herb? Like it's so fucking brought his troops at the end to help defend Wakanda. Like, what are you actually talking about? Didn't M'Baku also save the heart-shaped herb? Because they saved that, and no, it wasn't that. That wasn't him. That wasn't him. Sorry, that was Nakia. But he did save him, and then he did join at the end to help fight Jabari tribe. Fucking like, goddamn, dude, just like doesn't know what he's talking about.
So instead of just removing the strong male figure, which they do sometimes, we see this with some properties like Spider-Man 2. Peter Parker was basically removed from the entire game almost.
Okay, this is what you call a LARPer. This is what you call a LARPer. This is a LARPer. Oh, here's a raccoon for sure. We said that. He's a LARPer. This is a tourist. This is a LARPer. This is the perfect example. This is the perfect example. Removed from the whole game? Did we play a different Spider-Man 2? Did I once again get the unwoke version where he's in the majority of the game and he has, the symbiote suit, and then it goes away and he goes, becomes, I don't want to go spoil it, but then Venom comes, and then like, no, that's not the game. I played a different game then, I guess. I keep getting the woke versions of things, or the unwoke versions, I should say.
Right, you're playing multiple different characters. You're playing Mary Jane, who's apparently more strong than him in the game.
He says apparently more strong, which is not good grammar, because he didn't play the game. He didn't play it. He's looking at a meme. I keep playing the wrong game. I don't know, man. But he's looking at a meme and going like, apparently this is real, and therefore he's not that strong. But MJ is. MJ, walk him down, Mary walk him down Watson, gets like a couple of missions, and that's it. That's it. Like, you're playing us multiple people. Multiple people. 3? 2 outside of Spider-Man? Technically, you're playing as Venom, but like, what?
I think that's the thing we see with a lot of properties. They tried to do that, but they didn't reach the success.
Also, he's doing this to stretch out his thing about James Bond, because he has nothing else to say about it, really.
They actually wanted to get. And I think that's the thing we're seeing now, with where James Bond is going to be allowed to be the James Bond that we like, at least action-packed wise. He's going to be the suave character.
So now he's going back to saying that he's going to be James Bond, but he's not going to be James Bond because a white woman's not telling him what to do, but a black woman's telling him what to do, or something like that.
Within limits, but he's going to be within modern day limits. He's going to be within a limit where he can't be charming every single woman alive. He can't be sleeping with them. He can't be
charming every single woman alive. Dog, have you ever watched a James Bond movie? I'm being so for real. On average, James Bond charms like 2 women a film. It's the usually irrelevant or the plot point woman, and then it's the Bond girl. That's it. That is it. He acts like James Bond is sleeping with like, what, you want the game to be a dating simulator? You want this to be fucking Leisure Suit Larry? Like, what do you want this game to be, dude?
Careless and without love for any of the characters. He has to be desperate to save every single boss lady that's around him. He has to listen to all the boss ladies around him. He has to be subservient to all the boss ladies around him.
Dude, it's called doing your job. Like, what is this? They always frame this shit as subservient. You guys, I had to be subservient today because my boss told me to clock in. I have to save all my girl bosses. What's the data on that? I don't know. I think I have to do that.
I think that's the thing we see with Daredevil as well, where he's subservient to every boss lady around him, Kingpin as well. And it's just something I find annoying, where it feels like the entertainment is all the same. It's scripted the same. It's fine to be scripted. It's entertainment. But when everything is scripted the same way, where everything is characterized in the same way, you already know it's a messaging tool almost at that point. And I think that's why I feel from this James Bond game, even though I think it looks fun, it looks entertaining. I like all the things you can do with this game. I like that you can bluff your way into places. It seems like it was created by real developers that like James Bond. And I think that's the problem with modern day entertainment. You have real developers making an interesting game, and then you have people that come from the HR marketing team kind of mucking it up, changing the feel and look of this game.
Oh my God. Fucking HR and marketing can't change the game. Marketing markets the game. HR is there to protect the company. He's saying nothing, but I want you guys to suffer through this with me, because this is indicative of every grifter out there. They are saying nothing. He's just super bad at it.
game to be something that is not really in line with the content of the character themselves. I think this is what we see with the DEI divisions and all these other organizations that come in. You have a finished product, a good game that is ready to be played, and
that's not how it works. I'm sorry. That's not how it works. Not how it works. The game, I know this dumbass is going to go. The game is finished, which it's not. The game's finished, and then these DEI consultants are going to tell you, no, go change it. Go make it more woke. Because that's how they think game design works. They think the product is finished, and then they send it out for edits. And then they get it back, and they say, whoop, Sweet Baby Ink said we have to make this character 20% more gay.
Gamers can't really interact with it in the way they can because they kind of dilute the story. They dilute the actual feel of James Bond by including these limitations on his character, where he probably...
Does he think game companies intentionally sabotage a profit margin to push the... Yes. They all think this. They all think this. They think they know how anything works. They absolutely do think that game developing companies are pushing an agenda and pushing messaging and want to sacrifice profits for messaging. That's what they think.
Can't be sleeping with multiple women, where he can't be a...
And he's so fixated on the ability to sleep with multiple women. What James Bond video game let you do that? What James Bond video game let you sleep with multiple women? Why is that the focus? Why is that the focus? What James Bond video game was focused on you sleeping with women, or even lets you sleep with women?
Abrasive and misogynistic to a certain standard, where he's listening to every boss lady, cherishing everything they say because they're superior to him.
I know this nigga's lonely. I can tell by his fit. I can tell by his haircut. I can tell by what he's saying. I know he's lonely, because there's ain't no way someone who has a fulfilling relationship with a woman is going to say this phrase right here as a critique.
To every boss lady, cherishing everything they say.
Cherishing everything they say? Please tell more about yourself.
Because they're superior to him. That's not the James Bond we know. James Bond is not listening to anyone. And I think that's the thing people feel is going to happen with this game. And of course, the gaming media is going to praise this game. And I think that's another problem that we see with this current generation of gaming. Everyone wants praise from the games media, and it's getting it for now. And it just tells me, oh, it's probably following all the standards and rules that they want to see this follow morally.
Let me get this straight. Because a game is getting good press, it's going to be bad?
In virtue signal in a moral way that is in line with what they want to see from the modern day era of James Bond, where, yeah, he can be cool and suave, but he has to be in service of 10 boss ladies.
Oh my God. Why does he keep saying 10 boss ladies? Why does he keep saying 10 boss ladies? Why 10? Why this specific number? Why are you so caught up on that and being subservient? Why are you not talking about the actual game? Like, what is this,
and
dude?
Make sure he shows reverence to them all. And I think that's
reverence?
what I feel when I see this game. I see...
Does this look like reverence to you guys? Does this look like someone who's going to pay reverence?
I'm not loving the odds.
No, I've had worse.
In that case,
Well, what are we waiting for? No sign of 009.
We need to inform M.
No time. I'm going after him.
Need to inform him. No time. Does that sound like someone who's listening to all of the boss women? Does that sound like someone who's cherishing everything that they say? Does that sound like someone who's paying reverence? I don't even have to watch the whole trailer. This is the same trailer, mind you, he's been putting in his video. It's muted probably for copyright, but I know how this shit works. He would have been listening to this. He would like he just grabbed whatever trailer he could find, which happens to completely defeat this entire point he's making.
Something that is not really interesting. I feel it's the modern day representation of James Bond, where he's working with multiple lesbians that are smarter than him.
Oh, now he has to throw in the lesbians, because remember, you guys, he has to hit the buzzword bingo. DEI, HR, forced diversity, lesbians. You know, we all hate lesbians apparently now.
The evil villain he's fighting, it has moral high ground, he's superior to him, and it's just like, this is not even James Bond, where James Bond is essentially the bad guy in this story. I think that's what we...
How did we get to this point? How did we get from they're not letting you be James Bond to James Bond is essentially the bad guy of this story? Mind you, for a game that is not out yet, how are we saying James Bond is the bad guy of this story?
We see with a lot of the elements that are previewed here, where I feel like he is subservient. He is kind of in the position where he's probably the bad guy. He's stealing.
How would James Bond be the bad guy in the James Bond game? This is going to be a franchise. You can't. No, James Bond is never going to be the bad guy. 007 will never be the bad guy. You have to be, quite frankly, a fucking moron to think that.
Stealing something from the bad guy, or he's the bad guy has a morally superior position. And I think that's the thing I don't really like to see with the James Bond movie. I want to see him be the person that is actually in the right of the argument. And I think that's the thing we want from our heroes and spies in this genre. And we're just not going to get that from this because it's contrary to the modern day value.
Pure fiction. Pure fiction. They just create shit to be mad about. I cannot put this any simpler. They just create shit to be mad at.
That we see in society today, and I think that's the thing I feel like is going to be missing from this property. But that's just me. I could be completely wrong. I didn't play this game yet. I'm just looking at it superficially.
I could be completely wrong. This is the cover part right here. He's covering for his ass, but it's too late. It's too late. You made too many declarative statements.
But this is my prediction of what's going to happen with this game. I think now we're getting more subversive tricks because they know we notice all the patterns with these games. So they're giving us a James Bond that looks like James Bond, but I highly doubt it's going to carry its way through. We're not going to see the James Bond we want.
Okay, I think this is enough. I think this is enough. We're going to just go to this trying part.
Wrong. People are saying they like this game. I'm going to try it out first before I give it my 100% full judgment. I'm hoping they prove me completely erroneous on my judgment. And I would say that out loud, like, oh, I'm wrong. This is James Bond. Because it does look like it has the action scenes, the Uncharted stuff that I want to see from a James Bond. But I know story-wise, that is always the weakness for these games, for modern day games, where they have to make this character.
See, this is not good. This isn't even good. This isn't even good for coping because your majority of your video is he doesn't even front load it by saying, I hope I'm wrong, but he goes to talking about why he's suspicious of the hype, why strong men being subverted, how you're not even going to be James Bond. They won't let you be James Bond. You're going to guidance becomes control. These women are going to control you. And I'm saying these women are going to control you because in the Black Panther, that's what happened. And then the modern society won't let him do that. And then DEI and the media praise means it's actually bad because it's going to fit through all the DEI standards that they like. And then I have my doubts, but then I'll try it before judging it. Out of your unnecessarily 12-minute long video, you dedicate a minute to actually being like, well, actually, like it's such a transparent tactic, dude. It's so transparent. You are so bad at this, it fucking hurts. He's so bad at this shit, it truly hurts, man. Like, I truly do appreciate at least the smarter grifters because oh my fucking god, dude. Like it is so bad. And I love the whole, well, it's my opinion. No. That is a cop-out. That is a cop-out. That is a cop-out to protect you from any sort of criticism. Well, it's just my opinion. Your opinion is that, what? Having women in games is bad. And that James Bond's going to be bad because a woman is going to tell James Bond what to do. And he's going to have reverence for them. He was using a trailer that had he opened his ears, he would have heard James Bond tell that woman directly, I'm not listening to you. I'm doing this now. I'm not going to wait. Which would completely eradicate the notion of him revering every girl boss he has to run into. That was 17 seconds into the trailer. The same trailer he was using as B-roll footage. This is all of them. This is all of them. This is all of them. Okay? This is why I keep telling you guys, these people have no argument. They have nothing. At their core, they are Wagner. Their complaints boil down to, I don't like women. I don't like minorities. He's just too fucking stupid to give himself enough cover. He just throws in the words DEI. Remember, he added lesbians suddenly because he forgot you have to mention lesbians or you won't get the pop. He just adding this shit, but he is a worse version of them. That is what they do. Going back to Saros, what did they say the breeding Saros was about? Oh, your wife is your cuck because she dates a black lesbian. Does that happen? No, but it doesn't need to happen because that is their collective consciousness coming together because that's what they believe everything is. They're afraid of blackness. They're afraid of queerness. They're afraid of women. They're afraid of everything. That's why when you look at their stuff, they're like, if Netflix, like their favorite thing is if Netflix made this and it's just a black person. If Netflix made the Lord of the Rings and they have him being black. If Netflix made Bugs Bunny and he's black. Because that's their whole fear. I mean, that's literally Andy Pants' shit, right? Gay, black, disabled, gay, black, trans, gay, something, something, black, something, something, minority group, marginalized group. That's their fear. Whether it's someone like Legendary Drops who try to use more cutesy language to cover that up, or it's fucking Wagner knows why. It is this fear. And for Wagner, that's fucking crazy. I'm like, you are black. No matter how fucked up your haircut is, no matter how you talk, no matter how much you shit on other games or having black people in it, you are black. You are not welcome in their club. If you can only be accepted by a group by continuously diminishing people of your own group, they don't want you, homie. They don't want you, big dog. You know what they call that? A useful idiot. A useful idiot. That's what they call you.